So I got married in 1981, had a baby in 1982, and I was already a physician assistant. So it's an interesting theme here. We're all medical. But I wasn't working, and I was looking for a part-time job. And a postcard came in the mail. Are you looking for a part-time job? So the National Guard was recruiting, and I, in fact, was looking for a part-time job because I was a new mom and I really didn't want to work full-time. So I answered the postcard, spoke to the recruiter, and when they explained to me that the National Guard is a state organization and they get called out for state emergencies, hurricanes, blizzards, any state function, I said, I can do that. That's easy. That's like community service to me. I can do that. So I signed on the dotted line. Little did I know that years later I'd be in Iraq. But I'll back up a little bit. So I signed up in 1983, and I joined as a warrant officer because physician assistants were warrant officers at the time. Sometime in the 90s, they decided to transition all physician assistants to commissioned officers. When I first was a part of the National Guard, they were going through some transition in that all of the females were being examined as part of their physicals by contract doctors, and of course all of the doctors were males. So since I was the only female, and they were happy to have me, I was now in charge of the female medical program, which meant I did all the pelvic exams. Yay. But that's okay, because the women were happy to see me. And that went along just fine. And I met a lot of wonderful women, and we had lots of great conversations, and I did my job to the best of my ability. And time went on. As I said, we transitioned to commissioned officer, and I rose through those ranks, served in a unit called Medical Command. I was the S1, I became the XO, I became the Deputy Commander of Clinical Services. In 2008, I deployed to Paraguay as part of our state partnership program, as part of our medical mission. And in 2009, deployed to Iraq, and I was the battalion surgeon in charge of a battalion command. So I did not go outside the wire, as they say, but our battalion went outside the wire, and any injuries that occurred outside the wire did come back and were treated by us. So that was interesting. And even though we were on what was called, quote unquote, a safe base, we certainly had mortar coming in to the base on several occasions. There were some negligent fires that we witnessed, so that was interesting. I was only there for 4 months, but when I came home, I felt like I left my family behind, and so that was a hard transition. And the way I dealt with it was keeping very busy, and I found a way to get myself on active duty orders to go around the state talking to and helping other Guard members who were sick and injured, and actually going to Walter Reed and talking to Massachusetts Guard members who were in the medical hold units and taking care of them. And the other thing I did, when our unit finally was coming home, I found a way to get myself on those orders to meet my unit at Fort McCoy and welcome them almost home, because they were still at Fort McCoy, so that I can make sure their medical needs were taken care of, make sure all of their profiles were in order, all of their medical records were in order, because those were my children, and I had to make sure that that was taken care of. In 2012 is when I was promoted to colonel, and I will took pleasure in being the first African-American female in the history of the Massachusetts National Guard to be promoted to colonel. And so that was fun. And then in 2014, I was assigned the state surgeon for the National Guard, and again made history, and was the first non-physician and the first African-American state surgeon for the Massachusetts National Guard. So it's been an interesting ride. It's been a struggle. There's always a struggle when you're a female. And in the light of the Harvey Weinstein situation, hashtag Me Too, it's a struggle. It's interesting that I would not change anything. It has been a very interesting learning curve. It's interesting, I joined the National Guard thinking this was just community service. I didn't have anyone to ask about this. I didn't have any family members who were in the military. My parents were immigrants, so they didn't know anything about this. But yeah, it's something that I'm proud that I did. And when young people do ask me about it, I give them the whole story. The whole story. National Guard is not just community service. So, yeah, that's it for me.